And my mom said she got the call from Taylor, and she was like, "I haven't spoken to him in 10 years." And then she said it kind of dawned on her, like, the first thing she said was, "Is he alive?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, but it's not good."
The content presented in this podcast and YouTube show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health or a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard or seen on this show. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. The host, guest, and producers of this show are not responsible for any adverse effects resulting from your use of or reliance on any information presented.
Andrea. Can you hear us?
Many years ago, I died for 26 seconds. There are so many people in this world that have experienced life events that have led to their soul purpose. Wake Up Your Soul with Andrea will bring you these significant life events that demonstrate how to use those moments for guidance and life purpose. These are our stories.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Wake Up Your Soul. Today's guest is Erik Johnson, and we're going to be talking about how he had to rebuild his life and his body. Let's welcome Erik.
Hello. How's it
Hi, how
going?
are good? How are you?
Good.
Good. Yeah. This story is all about sharing your journey of, like I said, rebuilding your body, rebuilding your life. And granted, your story is a little more extreme than most people will probably ever experience in their lifetime. But that's what this is about, is bringing the most extreme scenarios to people so that we can get that really deep level thinking that you had to go through and all the different situations that you came across so that people can begin to build their toolbox and overcoming the obstacles in their life. And you've had to rebuild your body in a way that most people will never have to do. And same with your life. So let's start with the accident. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing.
Sure. I know. I just overloaded you with a bunch of info. Should I start by giving a brief summary of
Yeah, no yeah, nobody heard
what
that,
I was
Eric.
in at the time to give context?
Yeah, nobody got to hear it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah.
So, my accident happened while canyoneering in, 2015. Canyoneering is basically it would be described as descending through canyons, but the types of canyons you can descend through are pretty diverse. You can go from everything to bone dry canyons like in Death Valley
Mhm.
to slot canyons like in Utah to polished granite, natural water parks like you have in the Eastern Sierra. And you basically work your way to the start or the top of the canyon and then descend through it using whatever skills are needed to get through that canyon. So it usually requires rappelling,
Mhm.
but it can also require hooking. If you get into a massive pothole that you can't climb out of, you've got to actually use little hooks to climb up out of it.
Yeah, and you were saying even, like, sandbags and different things.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so in pothole escapes, you'll get inside of a pothole and there's obviously no rope on the other side, so you have to make a way to get out of it. So there is these things called pot shots that are about that big that you'll fill with sand, and you'll chuck them out of the pothole with the rope down, and you'll chuck another one, chuck another one, chuck another one until it's heavy enough to support the weight of a human body. You'll have the
So, okay,
smallest.
I'm actually very confused on this. So, are you just carrying the bags with you, and then you have to fill these bags from whatever soil is near you in this pothole, and then you have to be able to toss it up there?
Yeah, so usually the pothole will go down.
Yeah.
So you'll be on one side of the pothole, fill it up with sand, chuck it over the pothole, then chuck another one, chuck another one, chuck another one. So you'll have
Mm,
a cord of ropes coming down.
okay.
They'll send the smallest person in there, the lightest person in there. shimmy out the other side,
Okay.
and then reinforce the anchor on the other side with either their body or something else,
Okay.
and then the rest of the group can get through.
Okay.
So it's not just having the rope skills and the other technical skills
Mhm.
to get through, it's also having like group dynamic and understanding how to work together.
Mhm.
And it's great. I mean,
Great team building.
yeah, it's great team building and it's an all-day adventure. I mean, canyons take anywhere from 3 hours to a couple days to get through.
Mhm.
So it's just a constant adventure and constant challenge.
Yeah.
That's
You
why I
said
like
there's
it.
all the different levels and you get to choose whatever level you're gonna do. So, the day of the accident, what level was
So
the
yeah,
slope?
that's a good question. So I'll briefly describe the rating system. It goes from 1 to 4. 3 would be basic canyoneering skills. So you have to know how to rappel, you have to know how to set an anchor, but beyond that, not too much.
Okay.
A 4 would be more technical,
Mhm.
advanced skills. Then it has a letter rating A to C. A would be bone dry, C would be stagnant pools of water, and C would be flowing water. And then obviously flowing water can span the gamut between a little trickle to full on rushing rapids,
Okay.
which obviously present significantly
Yeah.
greater challenges.
Mhm.
Then you have a Roman numeral at the end, 1 to 6. So a 1 would be 1 to 2 hour canyon, a 6 would be overnight or multi day.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, sometimes you'll have an R, meaning increased risk,
Mhm.
perhaps rope snag issues, like it's hard to get your rope back out at the end. Maybe it's really slippery. You have slides where you could snag your foot and break an ankle. And then X means a fall will most likely be fatal. So that's the full rating system. The canyon we were doing was called Pepperwood Creek Falls in southern Sequoias.
Mhm.
It was a, let me see if I can remember. I believe it was a 3B3,
Okay.
which would have been so it did have rushing water. It did have massive waterfalls, but the part where you would descend, you weren't really descending through the waterfalls.
Okay.
You were working your way through flowing water. But
Okay.
especially on the time I was there, it was a low snow year, so they didn't have significant waterfall, which actually plays into part of why my accident happened.
And
And
it was just you and one other
yeah,
friend, because you said there
yeah.
were other friends, but they went on a different.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were camping with a group of 6, I believe, and 4 of them split off to do an adjacent canyon, a really popular canyon called Seven Teacups. Kyle and I had already done that, so we wanted to try something new, so we broke off and we're gonna do Peppermint Creek Falls. And it wasn't rated as an especially advanced canyon, it was a 3, so we thought, "Oh, should be relatively easy to get through there."
Okay, quick question though. What was your skill level? What was your capability at this point in time before you did
I
this?
mean, I was still new,
Okay.
I'd only been canyoneering for probably 6 months,
Okay.
but I had been gobbling up everything I could find on the sport for those 6 months and trying to run at least 2 canyons every week over the weekends and
Okay.
going on canyon rendezvous where you spend 4 days canyoneering in other places. I was competent. I had advanced skills, not incredibly advanced skills, but I could do things. I could set guided rappels, which are basically like zip lines that can help you get over obstacles. I knew how to pass a knot,
Mhm.
which is if your rope isn't long enough to get down, you have to tie the ropes together, but then you're
Mhm.
rappelling down, you get to that knot, you can't rappel through the knot. So you have to anchor yourself to the rope, descend down, then anchor yourself below the rope, take
Mhm.
your top rope off, and then continue rappelling down, which
Okay.
is both scary and takes some technical work.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was competent.
Okay.
I was definitely more than competent to do
Okay. That's what I was gonna
this
ask. Okay.
particular canyon, but my lack of skill or on this particular day was more lack of experience and maybe being a little too cavalier,
Mhm.
not appreciating the risks as much as I should have.
Mm.
So I can't remember how many rappels this canyon had. If I can recall, I think it was maybe like 5. There was a big, huge waterfall in the middle of the canyon which usually is the flow is too high to even rappel through it, so you rappel on the side of it.
Okay.
But there were some other where you're rappelling directly in the water flow, which is like the dream of every canyon. I mean, it's so fun when you're in the water flow and you're feeling it. You gotta tuck your head underneath so the flow is going over your helmet. You're not just getting blasted in the face as you go down.
Yeah.
So we got to the last waterfall, and like I said, it was a pretty low water year.
Okay.
So it wasn't flowing very strong. But because of that, it was dry. And a lot of the
Mhm.
plants dry up, the roots die. This is the very last one. This is
Oh,
the very
okay.
last one.
Okay.
Okay, so we got through, well, let's just say it was 4, and we got to the 5th one, and I pulled there was a big giant tree
Mhm.
a little bit further up the canyon, and I pulled out my webbing and tools to create an anchor off this big giant tree. And my buddy said, "Wait, let's check the beta." And the beta was information about the route. So you
Mm.
can get that anywhere from a guidebook, like an official guidebook that's been written, or someone's hand scribbled notes on a napkin who ran a canyon for the first time.
Yeah.
There was a website that was developed at that time called Rope Wiki, and it basically allows people to constantly update the beta for canyons. So that's a really great resource.
What was the most recent update on this canyon at the time? Do you know?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I can't remember. But that's one of the things that would come with experience, and
I'm
maybe
just super analytical, so that's what I was
no,
looking
yeah,
at. When
and
was the last
maybe
update
maybe
though?
a little bit more forethought than I had at the time, but canyons are you'll have climbing routes, and climbing routes are don't change much over time. They never change the ratings because the rock is what it is. But
Yeah.
canyons, you're getting massive water flow with trees and rocks and stuff pounding the canyon all the time. So it changes constantly.
Mhm.
And the rappel station in one year might be completely washed away the next year. So you have to find another thing to rappel off of.
Do you know how
And
many people had rappelled?
this was a lesser done canyon, which is why we
Okay.
wanted to run it. It hadn't been run a lot, and we thought, okay, well, this is different. Let's try this. So we got to that last waterfall. I took out my webbing to make an anchor off this giant tree, and my buddy Kyle said, "Wait, let's check the beta." And the
Mhm.
beta said to rappel off of another tree, which was basically like a bush,
Oh my god. Okay.
but it was
How
similar.
big was this? Like, there had to have been some sort of trunk, right?
There was, it.
I'm
I
just trying to
probably
picture
wouldn't
this.
have described it as a tree.
Really?
Yeah, but it was similar in size to one
Huh.
of the anchors that we had used for one of the prior rappels. So I kind of just blindly relied on the beta, like, "Oh, well, the beta says that, so
Yeah.
let's do that." I should have gone with my initial assessment, and
Like you said, it was dry, so
it
roots
was
aren't gonna be.
dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the roots were dried up, the roots were shallow, and the rappel was roughly 100 feet from where the anchor was. The first 40 feet was a slopey downhill,
Mm.
and then it turned into an overhang,
Okay.
straight down. And so my first error was blindly relying on the beta. The second error was being a little too cavalier with.
I do have a question though on
Yeah.
so do you is that part of doing what you do is assessing the tree or the bush?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like, okay, how dry is this? Does it seem even though this worked, 5 years ago, over time, something that's maybe dying or rotting
Yeah.
is not gonna be the most ideal to
Yeah.
anchor into.
Like
Yeah,
I said, I should have gone with my initial assessment.
okay.
I put too much weight on someone else's assessment in a different year,
Yeah.
and I shouldn't have done that.
You needed a woman on the job.
Yeah,
I'm
you know what? That's actually a real thing. That's actually a real thing that they especially in skiing. I mean, in Tahoe, we just had that historic avalanche that killed 10 people. That's one of the things they constantly talk about in groups, that women and married men are typically the most conservative.
Well, married men are trained.
And that was a problem. I was single. I wasn't married at the time. I didn't have kids. Like, woo, let's just go. Like, I don't have anything to lose.
Yeah, it's
Um,
true.
you know?
Okay. Alright, so
Yeah. So I got to that last rappel, it was, like I said, slopey downhill at first, and then
Uh-huh.
it went to an overhanging ledge, then straight down, and that's where the waterfall was shooting out.
Okay.
And so rather than coming to that ledge and then slowly descending down,
Single
I
Eric
got
was like, "Woo."
yeah, I got to that ledge and tried to jump down to a ledge below, and as I jumped, it shock loaded the anchor and pulled it out of the ground,
Oh,
and the fall was roughly 50 feet. I don't know how I survived. I mean, it was massive,
yeah.
the fall, and I shattered both heels, both ankles, an open compound fracture to my right leg, a broken pelvis, which was technically a open book break, so my pelvis actually broke open
Mm,
like an open book.
mhm.
Broken hand, and then I had lacerations everywhere. I basically filleted this hand. It was, like, completely open. And I had ripped the both the tree and the anchor out of the ground.
Tree, bush, whatever.
Yeah, whatever you wanna call it. My natural anchor. So Kyle was left up there without the anchor we had used, and,
So he watched this just fly out of the ground
yeah.
and
So
probably
so another thing, normally when you have situations like this where the anchor might be a little sketchy, you do something called a meat anchor, which is where you actually back up to another person and they use their body as an
okay.
additional backup. But because of how this canyon was, it was a slopey downhill and there wasn't really anything for Kyle to brace himself.
Mm,
So we didn't do a meat anchor back up to him. So that was another problem.
mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, he saw the tree shoot out of the ground and saw the whole thing.
Mm.
And somehow, even without a rope or an anchor, he was able to heroically go around the rim of the canyon and get to the bottom without a rope. I
How long did that take him?
I don't know,
Yeah,
but th the accident happened about midday, and I think I got to the hospital about 5 PM.
okay.
So that's another thing. I mean, if anything didn't line up, if it was later in the day, if the sun was going down, if he wasn't able so I'll see what happened first, then get back to that. So he got down to me, tried to move me. I
I
was
actually want to before we get to that part, can
yeah,
we talk about you said you did remember a little something, so you remember the snap, I guess, right?
I do remember
Okay.
that.
So
I
were
don't
you
remember the impact.
did you have a thought? Was there an, "Oh, shit"?
Yeah, yeah, I actually screamed, "Please tell me you're backed up." Like, that
Oh
was the
my
last
gosh.
yeah,
But did you know he
last
wasn't?
I knew it had snapped.
But did you know he wasn't backed up?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Because 'Cause I'm thinking before you took off and went down, I mean, isn't it like, "Okay, I'm anchored in, you're backed up or you're not backed up, and off I go."
errors,
Yeah. Ugh,
errors.
no woman there.
Yeah, yeah. It was yeah, yeah,
I can I
it was a foolish mistake.
I have a question. So, Eric, you're an attorney.
Yeah.
Attorneys ask a lot of questions.
Mhm.
Were you an attorney at that point in time?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
like I said, it was
Yeah,
cavalier.
yeah.
It
No.
was cavalier, but my initial response was to immediately pull out rope and make my own anchor.
Mhm.
But it was only by second guessing that, "Oh, well, the beta said this, so, it's probably
Yeah,
fine."
yeah.
Blind reliance on someone else's assessment. I shouldn't
Okay,
have done that. I
okay.
shouldn't have done that.
But that I
But
mean,
you never think it's gonna
that's
happen to you, you know?
well,
It's
I know, and that's the thing in life, like, depending on the situation and what we're doing,
Mhm.
I'm sure there's attorney Eric, and then there's the Eric that's out in the wilderness who's just totally you function differently. We let go of things when we're trying to let go, right? When we're not
Yeah.
in our formal job and
There's been a lot of deaths in canyoneering over the last couple years, and it's because it's easy to get into, it's easy to get to the top of a canyon and just set up a basic anchor and rappel through it, so you can get in situations it's very easy to get in situations where a minor mistake has
Mhm.
massive consequences.
Do you
Uh,
think it's also easy for people to build up their self-belief with that sport? Because you like you said, some of them are very easy, so you do an easy course
Yeah.
and you're like, "Huh, this is not that hard," and
Yeah,
then you
for
do
sure.
another
I
one.
mean, if you've done 50 canyons and rappelled on really sketchy anchors and never had any problem, then, it's kinda a
Yeah,
little bit out of sight, out of mind. It's you've
mhm,
developed all this false sense of confidence
very much so.
over the past 6 months
Yeah,
in, 50 different canyons, and then you assume everything's gonna hold.
yeah,
So a lot of rookie mistakes, a
yeah.
lot of
Well, we're here to learn from them. I'm
and
glad
that's
you're
kind
here
of
to share them.
I mean, that's it if you know me, this is not an isolated incident. My life, I mean, I could take
Uh,
evil Knievel to the task on broken bones. I've just got a trail of massive injuries because
okay.
I actually thought about this for a long time. I was a very I still am a good skier, even having one leg. I'm pretty good. And I was a competitive freestyle skier, big air and half pipe for I don't know, a while, probably
Okay.
5 years when I was a late teenager through early 20s. But I had to look myself into the mirror and realize that my I I accepted the fact that my confidence exceeded my skills, and I felt that I didn't know how I felt about it. I felt that I was competing above my ability level,
Uh-huh,
and my ability to do that was I was willing to do things that were beyond my ability level, which is how I
just might
mean,
get
and
hurt.
I didn't know how to take that because on the one hand, I was risk accepting and willing to accept challenges that the average person would not. But you really walk a fine line between confidence and recklessness.
Mhm,
And I've definitely fallen off the wrong side of that calculation
yeah.
a lot of times.
Did this epiphany or awareness come after the accident?
I think I actually was aware of that
Mm,
before the accident.
okay.
And I mean, as a little bit of aside, I know ADHD is now like every kid has ADHD, but I was an early adopter, man. I was diagnosed when I was 5 in like 1985. So this was not
Oh,
diagnosed
wow.
that
So
common.
you're, like, extreme.
Yeah. So
If you met
people
the
often have a
1985
misperception.
criteria.
People often have a misperception of ADHD. They think it is an overabundance of energy, but actually it's linked to lower stimulation.
Uh-huh,
So the average activity I get in I mean, as an adult, I'm constantly fidgeting and stuff because I need that extra jolt of adrenaline or energy. So I'm just anything that's extreme or dangerous, it's like a magnet. I just pursue it. And like I said, it creates a situation where I'm not as aware of the risks as I probably should be or willing to accept them
mhm.
when so anyway,
Anyway
it's
anyway,
I am who I am.
yeah, yeah.
I can't
Y
change it, and I just kinda
no.
have to embrace it as best as I can. I've definitely become much more conservative after
Yeah.
I say that,
Okay, so
after becoming a dad.
you're you're going yeah, I mean, that changes things a lot.
Yeah.
So, you're rappelling down, it snaps, you yell out to Kyle,
Mhm.
you're hoping that he's anchored in, and do you hear anything after that? Like, "No, I'm not." Or
No,
it
no. I mean, it was a split second,
yeah.
and then everything went black, and I do remember one of the only memories I have was waking up at the bottom of the canyon and looking at my leg and seeing it was snapped in half, and
Oh,
the pain was so extreme, I just kept blacking out.
that
It was like being hit by a train. You don't know what happened at first because you blacked out, and then it just like, "Oh my god, like, this actually happened," and I remember distinctly thinking, "This is how it ends. Like,
yeah.
this is how I'm gonna die." And I was thinking about this, and I just told my wife about this. I did sports in high school. I swam competitively a long time. I played water polo. I did track, and Swimming's tough. It's the worst sport. I mean, you're just looking at a stupid line at the bottom of the pool and you're just trying to go faster every time. And we would swim sets, where you go, I don't know, 5 100s on the one hand. And each time you're going, you're getting less and less time for a break. It's like first you have 5 seconds, then you got 4 seconds, then you have 3 seconds, you got to start again. And it's just grueling. And
Mhm.
it's so easy to just take a break midway through it. Like, oh, I'm going to take a break for one lap. And I had so many friends who did that. And even in high school, that angered me because I was like, I can't take that fucking break. Like, I have to get through it. And that is what it felt like when I was there. I never really connected it to that sports, but I think that may have been something in the back of my mind where there was so much pain and I was basically in reptilian brain at that point.
Mhm.
I kept thinking, I just want to close my eyes and
Let it be done.
let it be done.
Yeah.
And it was like a little needle, like, no, like, not now.
Yeah.
Wait 5 minutes.
Mm,
Wait for Kyle to get back.
mhm.
Just wait a little longer, like
Yeah.
constantly. That's what it felt like. And it would
Yeah.
wake me up and I would black out again. The will to live, it's a
Yeah.
powerful thing.
I think there's something in us we know. We know that something better is coming for us. We know it, we just know we have
Hope.
to hang on. Yeah, we have that hope and we hang on. We keep hanging on, but
Yeah,
we also know when it's getting really close. You probably don't even know my story. I don't I doubt John's told you, but so my pacemaker wire it went through my heart and it was in my lung, and I went on living that way for quite a while because I would go to the hospital and they just couldn't figure out what was going on, and
wow.
so it just I even went to class because I remember thinking like, "Wow, I don't wanna be a wuss. They're telling me it's nerve pain that I'm having because they said maybe the pacemaker was sitting on nerves or something, and so I thought, "Okay, I'm just being a wuss, and, I'm gonna get my credit. I'm gonna go sit in class because I'm either gonna sit on my couch in pain or I'm gonna sit in my desk. Either way, I'm going to have this pain," and I sat there. But then I remember I got to this point this one night, I'm just laying there, and I remember, like, looking at my dog like, "Do you know what I know? Do you feel anything?" Because I know dogs can kind of sense when
Yeah,
somebody's gonna cross over or when
yeah,
when it's close to the end, and the dog kinda seemed okay, but, like, I was like, "No way, like, there's just no way I can go much longer." You have this feeling in your body, like, "Somebody better help me fast or
yeah,
this isn't gonna keep going."
yeah,
And so it was probably I don't know, it was the middle of the night. I feel like it was like 3 AM-ish, went to Stanford, and they still couldn't figure it out. They're like, "Oh, good news. We think you have a blood clot. Let's find it." And then eventually they're like, "Oh, your lungs are full of blood, but we don't know why." And then it was
wow.
hours before they even figured out that the wire had gone through the heart and was sitting in the lung. But I had 2 wires, so one was still in the heart, the other was in the lung. So the one was still sensing that my heartbeat was off, so it
So
was
was
still
that open
pumping.
heart surgery? I mean, did they have to crack you open and get it out?
So they told me when I was going in for the surgery, they said, A, I may not even make it through the surgery because they
Yeah,
said, we're going to pull this out and you might just start bleeding out. And we're going to cut you open down the front of your chest and try to save you and do open heart
wow.
surgery. And they said, or, the best case scenario is going to be that it just kind of vacuum seals itself and it just closes up after we pull it through. And
Yeah,
that is what happened. Actually, I always say it's just been
yeah,
the grace of God. Like
yeah,
it just, yeah, it closed right back up. Because I remember that, and I feel so vain for this being my first thing when I woke up. And when I came out of surgery, I remember just tapping my chest and like feeling like, did I get sliced open? And I didn't.
mhm,
But yeah, I remember that
uh,
vividly, feeling like this could be the end, and it's a weird feeling for sure when you have that reflection happening, but
yeah.
yeah, so you're laying there and you're thinking you want this to be the end also because the pain is so excruciating, but something's
It was
telling you
more kind of like, like accepting fate and just
like,
I mean,
surrender.
even in that state, I knew how bad the situation was.
Yeah,
We were really remote, you know? I mean, I still don't know how they got a backboard descended in a helicopter down there. I
yeah,
mean, it's a narrow canyon. It's unbelievable how quickly everything happened and how so many things lined up that I mean, if one thing went differently, I'd
yeah,
be dead for sure.
Yeah.
By the time I got to the hospital, my kidneys were already going into renal failure.
Oh my gosh.
I was bleeding out.
So,
It's been a long.
let's back up. So, because we skipped over the part you were saying, well, you told me beforehand, but so Kyle went out and around. He went and found some property that was adjacent
Yeah,
to his.
so he somehow got down around the rim of the canyon to the bottom of the canyon, tried to move me, tried to see if I could move. I obviously could not. I mean, I was shattered everywhere.
Yeah.
So he then climbed back up out of the canyon, and there was in order to get into the canyon, there was a private property area that you had to go around, so you're not going into private property. He just ran into there blowing his whistle, and 2 guys with ATVs came out, and they had walkie-talkies, and they were able to contact the sheriff's department, and then the sheriff's department contacted the search and rescue. The search and rescue helicopter was in Ridgecrest, and it was too far away, so then they worked with the Tulare County's sheriff's department to bring in the sheriff helicopter,
Mhm.
which was so small, they had to leave the search and rescue guys in the canyon while they took me to the hospital because it was a police helicopter. It wasn't like a rescue helicopter.
Yeah. So, were you even able to lay down in this helicopter? Was it designed that way, or did they have to
I was on a backboard
You were, okay.
so my flashes of memory, I remember the rope snapping. I remember waking up at the bottom of the canyon and seeing my leg snapped and just feeling like
Mm,
the pain was so much, it was, like, suffocating, and then I would pass out. So I remember that, and then I remember the search and rescue trying to put a collar on me, and I almost don't even have any visuals with that. It was more like sights and feeling, and, I guess I was fighting them, like, "Get off," and it's probably just a reptilian brain response, like, "What are you putting around my neck?" And I don't remember being in the helicopter. I don't remember being hoisted up. The next thing I remember, it's been a while since I talked about this, so I was trying to rack my brain. I have so many stories of the hospital, I could write a whole book. So I remember waking up in the hospital, and this again, you're in a state of shock and you're constantly going in and out of consciousness. So
yeah.
even though I had those memories from before, when I got to the hospital, it was almost like the first time I was recognizing what happened.
Mhm.
And that also was like how did I describe it before? It was like, if you have a like a bad dream, a nightmare, and
Mhm.
then you wake up and then you have that realization, "Oh, that was just a dream."
Mhm.
It was the opposite of that.
Mm.
It was like waking up from a state of peace to a nightmare.
Yeah. But were you, like, questioning
In
if
that
it's real?
recognition, it felt like just I don't know how to describe it. It felt like waking up into a nightmare and not being able to escape it, and just that just overwhelming. I don't even know what to call it. It's not really. I guess you could say it's fear, but just uh, I don't know. Yeah,
Disbelief.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that might be.
Yeah.
And they kept telling me, I can't remember what they said, but it was something like, "If you keep fighting this, we're gonna have to put the tube back in."
Oh my god.
So then I was thinking that I had like a tracheotomy, like I was like the smoker lady on the cartoons. I had the hole in my neck. I was like, um,
Yeah.
so they put this thing, and then I was thinking that like I ripped my face off, like, oh, like my moneymaker, it's gone. And so I was kept saying, like, is my face ripped off? Is my face ripped off? And finally, a doctor came in and was like, give this guy a mirror.
I think this guy
But
I mean, it's funny, but I get it because when we're in these moments of, "Okay, I've just lost this or that," it's like, "Do I at least have something good of me left?"
so then I remember my mom came. What happened in the canyoneering community was just absolutely crazy. So there's a Facebook group, and that's how everybody communicated in the community and planned trips and did stuff.
Mhm.
And this was another stupid, stupid error. Have you ever seen the movie 100 and what is it, 187 Hours with Aaron Ralston? He's the guy who fell in the canyon. A rock fell on his arm. He had to cut his arm off.
I know the story, I don't know if I've
Yeah.
watched it.
Well, he made the same mistake. He didn't tell anybody where he was going. And you're always supposed to exchange your phone numbers, tell everyone else in the group,
Okay.
who's your point of contact. We didn't do that.
Yeah.
And so,
Do you feel silly doing it? It's kinda like, when you're a kid and your mom's like, "Tell me where you're gonna be, what time you're gonna be home," all those things, and you're like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm
no,
fine, I'm
I
fine."
mean, again, this was just stupid rookie single guy cavalier dumb mistakes.
Okay.
An easy mistake to make, an oversight. Like an
Yeah,
oversight probably anybody can make unless you have that drilled into your head, you always
yeah.
do this.
Mhm.
And so Kyle connected with the guys in the canyon, 6 of them, and they were with a much bigger group. So they started messaging everybody online to see if anybody knew my parents or could get my number. They got in touch with one of my buddies from law school, one of my best friends, not in the canyoneering community. I don't even know how they got his number because I don't think he was on Facebook at that time. He did not have my parents' number, but was like, "Oh, I know this guy Taylor who has his number. One of my buddies from high school. I don't even know how Dave had his number." And so my buddy from high school called my mom at like 3 in the morning or something and had to break the news to him. And my mom said she got the call from Taylor and she was like, "I haven't spoken to him in 10 years." And then it kind of like she said it kind of dawned on her like the first thing she said was, "Is he alive?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, but it's not good."
Aw.
And so
Aw,
my
you're
mom got
fine.
there and after I got the mirror and saw that my face wasn't ripped off. The next day I gotta go through these stories. You gotta hear these. So
I'm
so
still
so
beautiful.
I woke up in an orb, and I assumed I was in inflatable orb to keep the I don't know. So I wasn't on any hard surface, and then the next thing I knew, I was in a bed, and they had my legs moving like this, and I was like, okay, like, maybe that's supposed to increase blood flow, so maybe that's what that's for. But I couldn't figure out why the ceiling had this thing that kept turning as it would come down, and I was like, is that airflow? Like, what kind of room do they have me in?" And so my dad was there, and I was like, "Dad, I think I figured out why they have my legs moving, but why is that thing on the ceiling?" And he was like, I think that's the morphine side. I was in I was just in, like, little blocks. That's it.
Aw.
And the entire time I was there was, like, this nonstop
Trip.
trip.
Gosh.
Like, I watched an entire movie that didn't exist.
Didn't
And
happen.
it was I still remember, it was with Jason Bateman and Jennifer Aniston, and it was a mafia operating out of a used car dealership that looked like a circus tent, and for, like, a day, I was going on IMDb, like, what was this movie?"
Oh my
It's
god.
completely made up.
Like it was 3 tomatoes.
Yeah, yeah. So that was I mean, that was an experience. I mean, it was like
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, I was basically living in this suspended reality for weeks,
Yeah. Oh my god.
and it got exhausting because it was like
Yeah.
I couldn't distinguish
Yeah.
between dreams and reality for a while.
Yeah, I couldn't really get out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
morphine.
so we're in the hospital, and let's talk you didn't talk yet, I don't think, about the ankle and your choices and right?
Yeah, so both of my heels and ankles were shattered,
Okay.
and your ankle bone is called the calcaneus, and that's actually one of, if not the hardest bones in your body, so to shatter that is like
Yeah,
a bomb went off in my
yeah.
foot.
Did
That
you shatter anything from the pelvis up?
on my back,
Yeah.
I didn't,
Wow.
and I have no we were thinking that the backpack may have braced my fall.
Did you land on your back? Or who
I
knows? Yeah, okay.
I think what happened when I was falling, I caught a rock, and that's what snapped my pelvis open. That's the only thing I can think of is that
But maybe slowed the momentum a little bit and protected your
Maybe,
back, maybe.
maybe.
Yeah.
I did have one super weird thing. Let me know if you can see it.
This is
Can
fun.
you see that bald spot right here?
Yeah.
So I just lost hair on the back of my head.
Huh.
No idea how. It started scabbing up, and I was asking him, I was like, "Do I have a fucking bed sore? Like, what's going on? Give me the mirror." Never grew hair back there. So weird. So where were we talking? You were talking about,
The ankles.
yeah, yeah, the ankles. So I shattered both heels and ankles, but my right leg took the brunt of it, and that's
Okay.
I also had a compound fracture, and it wasn't just the breaks, it was that I split my ankle open,
Ugh.
and it was exposed all the way down to the tendon.
Mhm.
So, and then I explained when we were talking that your ankle, it's so fascinating when you study, like, I mean, everything in the body is just like this engineering marvel on how it works. And when you
Yeah.
see how sophisticated the foot is, even down to the fat bed on your foot, and how every little thing in there has a function. And the ankle is basically the calcaneus.
Mm,
And then you have this small little saddle bone in the middle called the talus, and then you have the tib and fib that go into that, and that's the articulating surface, how you can move your ankle. And, you have inversion, eversion, then plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. Those are all the
yeah.
ways you move your ankle. And if the talus has its own blood supply, so if you fracture the talus, it goes necrotic and dies, and then the whole ankle basically collapses. And that's a situation I was in. I'd injured the talus so bad that they determined it wasn't going to survive.
Mm,
So the only way to keep my foot at that point was to have a full ankle fusion,
okay.
which would have meant it was fused in every direction. So you don't have inversion, eversion, you don't have plantar flexion, dorsiflexion.
It's just like a 90-degree
It's
angle.
basically a meat stump that you're
Yeah.
walking on.
Yeah.
And not only that, because of the soft tissue damage, I would have had to have this super gnarly microvascular plastic surgery to close up that giant, like, gaping wound,
Mhm.
which would have made my foot look like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So they told me that, and my initial knee-jerk response was, "I'd rather have a prosthetic leg." I didn't know anything about prosthetics, but I know they can run and they can compete in the Olympics. So that was my instinctive knee-jerk response.
Right.
But actually processing what that means took a bit more time, and I wanted to try to save my foot. So after I got discharged, I went to UCLI. Yeah, I keep UCI,
UCLA.
UCLA, USC, then Cedar Sinai, to Dr. Timothy Charlton, who's a renowned foot and ankle surgeon. And then he took it to some international panel of experts, and they all basically said, you can't save the foot without a full fusion. And that was basically, I said, if that's my only option, then
I don't want it.
I'm amputating my leg. And he said he wouldn't do it unless I wrote him a letter explaining my reasons for doing it.
Mhm.
And that was a really good exercise because it gave me something concrete to look at. And the decision was strictly logical. I had to push out all emotion because the thought of it felt like a death. It really did feel like a death, especially the hardest point was making the decision and then waiting for the surgery. I mean, it felt like you're basically on death row waiting out this execution.
Yeah.
And you look at your leg and you'd be like,
You're not gonna be there anymore. Yeah.
sorry, it's not like I'm sad about it. It's just
I get it. Yeah.
it's it's just like an explosion of memories and emotions. And
Yeah.
just it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
But my getting back to sports and having an active life was more important to me than trying to keep a part of my body that was essentially already dead.
Yeah.
And that I connected with a lot of guys from Challenged Athlete Foundation, and I talked to all of them to see what they were doing. And one of the guys he was on a ladder, and the ladder fell and it snapped. Like, he literally got
Mm,
his leg stuck in the ladder and it just completely, like, snapped his leg in half. And he had very similar injuries to mine. And something he said to me that was really influential. And he said, "Yeah, there's days I miss my foot. I missed my foot before the accident happened.
Mm,
After the accident, it was not my foot was gone.
yeah.
So, yeah, I had to decide what really is important to me and gives me meaning in life. That was another thing I found in my research was the trifecta of motivation and the will to live. It's purpose, what is it? Purpose, mastery, and autonomy. So, you believe in God, you believe in a higher power, or your husband, you're a father, you have some reason to live. You
Mhm.
can't die. Like you have to keep
Yeah.
living. And then mastery is you're devoted to some sort of skill or trade and you want to be the best you can be and constantly keep working at it. And autonomy, not relying on anybody else. And I kind of had all three of those. I mean, at the time I was very religious and I, wanted to believe there was a plan and I survived for a reason. And mastery, I had all my sports. I mean, skiing, backcountry skiing, canyoneering. I mean, they're all heavily skill involved and give you something to work on for the rest of your life. Like you're
Mhm.
never going to master it completely. There's always something you to learn. And autonomy, I was self-employed. I beat the mean streets of Los Angeles for 10 years, doing everything in my power to create a self-sustaining practice where I'm not, dependent on somebody else for a paycheck.
Yeah.
I kinda had all of those, and I'm fortunate for that. That kept me going.
Mhm.
But what really gave me meaning in life was being able to be active and be
Mhm.
outside, and just looking at a leg would not being able to do those things. Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about that before, just the functionality of it was
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
Well, it would have been gone if I hadn't fused my ankle. It would've I would have been a cripple,
Yeah.
basically. I would have been crippled permanently, and I don't
Yeah.
once the surgery was done, I actually was so relieved. I was like, "Band-Aid. It's off. Now every day is gonna get better."
Uh-huh.
And it basically has. I mean, it was hard. It took a
Yeah.
minute. My first prosthetist was a total quack, and I ended up suing him.
Oh,
Uh,
no.
yeah, yeah, it was bad. But then I got hooked up with this guy, Ryan Blank, in Seattle, Washington, and that was life-changing. I mean,
Is this when you did the GoFundMe for the sports
yeah.
leg?
Yeah.
Okay.
He built my first ski leg, and I think I made 2 other legs since then. Now I have 6 legs. I've got a ski leg, a running blade, a cycling leg, a workout leg, my daily leg. Yeah, and what am I missing? There's a 6th one.
Just
Yeah.
regular leg? Yeah.
But my workout leg is the dopest one. It's called the VersaFoot. It has a Fox Racing motocross shock absorber in it. It's the
Uh-huh.
only foot on the market that has an articulating ankle. So you can actually bend forward and then it'll snap back with
Oh, wow.
the and so I use it for like Olympic lifting, squats, that kind of stuff. And it
Yeah.
was created by this guy, Monster Mike Schultz, who is a professional snowmobiler. And
Uh-huh.
he lost his leg above the knee crashing in a snowmobile accident.
Yeah.
So he created his own knee and ankle
Mm.
to basically be able to keep riding, and,
What do you think about insurance not covering legs beyond a daily leg? Because that's what you were saying, right? As
I
far
think
as
they're the worst. I think
what
they're just reprehensible.
Well, thank you for the honesty. But, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking in terms of just, like, this is it's so unfair for people and how hard this must be on people that you've already lost a limb, right? And you're trying to get back to daily
Yeah,
life, but you can't even get back to daily life, right? It
yeah,
kind of boxes you into things. You're not able, like you're saying, you have to have a certain leg for cycling and a certain leg for running
yeah,
and all the different sports. And so it's like if you just are allowed to have this one leg, you're really allowed to just live life in this one way. And
yeah, I mean, it takes what I found through going through this process is that I mean, I don't wanna be reductive, but it really did slice people into 2 groups. There were the people that were utterly demoralized and destroyed by limb loss, and there were the other people who accepted it and basically made it a part of their identity. And I've thought about that a lot. I mean, it really felt like I call it life 2.0, where, when you're a baby, you're not really conscious and you slowly like come into reality. And it felt like in a lot of the same ways, like I was waking up to my mom
Mhm.
with a new body, with a new life, but different because when you're a baby, you don't have any pre-existing knowledge of the sacrifices that people are making for you. But when you're a
Yeah.
34-year-old man, you're painfully aware of
Mhm.
what other people are doing for you. And I also view it like, a rising phoenix. You burst in flames down to ashes and then you rise again new. And that was part of the process of doing it. I mean, I was very talented in sports. I was very strong. I was a CrossFit athlete. And that was a huge, huge part of my identity. And it took some time to relearn how to ski, and you're starting from scratch and you're struggling, and I had a way of dressing that I had to change because now I've got a different leg. And so it was sort of like the process of also I had to recreate myself and create a new identity and accept it as part of myself and not,
Mhm.
now I don't wear pants. I do not wear ever. Like I've even converted all my suits to shorts. For functionality, I can't take off my leg in yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, if I'm wearing pants, I can't take off my leg, otherwise I have to take my pants off, and that's kinda inappropriate in most social settings,
Most, yes.
and then I've got to modify all my ski clothing. I have to, have a full leg zipper on my right leg so I can take my leg off when I'm
Mhm.
skiing, in the gondola or whatever, without having to take my entire
Sure.
bib off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just, some tangible examples of how I had to.
I wanna know though, like, what you've been through mentally as far as just dealing with this new you. I mean, what were some of the thoughts and things that you had to deal with, and how did you deal with those things? Because even though not everyone has lost a leg, I think everybody has gone through a point in their lives where they've lost touch with even knowing who they are and looking in the mirror and
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
"Who am I? Who am I?" And you went through that on probably a greater scale, but people go through that without losing a limb.
The toughest point was before the surgery happened, when I was wheelchair bound, and, I mean, it took so long, and it happens, and everyone's concerned, but then they move on with their lives, and I felt like I was
Yeah.
just, fading into oblivion, and I was gonna be, a crippled shell of the man I used to be, and I went through a point when I was genuinely suicidal in the
Mhm.
sense that,
Mm.
I it wasn't some melodramatic cry for attention like, "Oh, I wanna," it was like I just didn't want to exist anymore. I
Mm.
wanted it just to die.
Yeah.
And it was a very distinct moment. I remember when I was living in a hospital bed in my parents' living room in their vacation home. I mean, I had no privacy at all, dependent on everyone else for everything. I could barely even go to the bathroom myself.
Yeah.
And I rolled out on the driveway one day and I thought to myself, am I going to go down this road? And I thought that for a minute, but then I was like, Fuck it. Let's just see what it see where this goes." And I took out my phone and I typed in, "What is the most efficient way to kill yourself?"
Mm.
And surprise, surprise, it's a gun. So then I thought, here's the lawyer in me. I thought, okay, well, let's unpack this. How's this actually going to play out? Um, what's it going to look like? Who's going to find me?
Yeah.
And the first thing
Absolutely.
that came to my mind was my mom. And I thought, I cannot do that.
No.
And it was weird. This kind of goes back to that trifecta of motivation. I did not have a renewed hope for life. It was like I had to shut down that idea out of just this morbid sense of duty or obligation. Like I can't do that
Mhm.
to someone I love. Like I have to shoulder this.
Mhm.
I can't put that on somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's great. A year later, I met my wife.
Yeah. Yay.
Like, it was awesome.
It's such a valid point though, we can hurt so much inside ourselves, but if we were to make that choice, so many more suffer than just us.
Yeah.
And there really is a way out, and depression can absolutely end. I've talked about it on many of my episodes, how I battled it and got through it. And yeah, it's ugly and it's not a good time, but there's absolutely better days, 100%. So I'm glad you got through it and found your wife. And you have one child or
We have one, our
okay.
beautiful little Catalina.
Aw.
My wife and I got engaged on Catalina Island,
Okay.
and the friend who introduced us was named Kathy with a K, and
Okay.
I'm Eric with a K, so
Yeah.
I said, "Let's name her Catalina with a K."
Yeah.
That's her.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's her name.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
She's 5. She rips. She's on the Palisades Tahoe ski team, and she's just awesome.
Yeah. Do you talk about your incident with her?
I actually this year, I went to her school and spoke about it with the kindergarten, 1st grade, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
'Cause
Yeah.
she knows the story, she's really proud to tell everybody about the story. Obviously, she has a 5-year-old's comprehension of what that means, but,
Yeah.
I think it's cool and that's one of the things that's really, really unique about Tahoe is that there are 2 major adaptive athlete foundations up here, High Fives and Achieve, and I've never seen it at any other mountain, but you'll see people in sit skis or with
Mm,
outriggers all over the place.
mm,
One of our closest friends, Roy and Elena, Roy owns the High Fives Foundation. He broke his spine skiing. He can walk, but it's still a spinal injury, and his
yeah.
wife did the same thing, and she's wheelchair bound. But she's like a national surfing champ, adaptive surfing, adaptive snowboarding. It's
Okay.
really cool. So
Yeah.
kids up here get to see that situation daily, and
Mhm.
I feel like they grow up not viewing it as a life-ending experience, but,
Mhm.
something that you can overcome. It's
Yeah.
pretty
And
cool.
it's hard for those of us that have to live through some of these extreme difficulties for sure. And then I feel like you have to go back to the saying of, God never gives us more than we can handle sort of thing. And I mean, I do believe that because there's a lot of people, I think everybody gets dosed what they can deal with and what they can handle. And we're meant to get these things because there's some sort of value we're going to bring to others by pushing through it. It's not just for ourselves. And I am sure everything that you've been through is going to be highly valuable for maybe it's just your daughter or
Yeah,
maybe it's, all the youth that are around her, or who knows
yeah.
what the future holds.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we talked earlier about, like, yeah, I've been kinda reckless and how I had that sort of epiphany that I'm on the one hand, I'm punching up, I'm, like, trying to compete above my ability level, but on the other hand, I'm doing stuff that's beyond my ability level, but I think I'm also the type of person who's willing to deal with the fallout even if it's pretty extreme.
Mhm.
I don't blame anybody for what happened but me,
Yeah.
and I lived, and I want to use my situation to help other people. And another thing, when you're younger, you think, "Oh my god, if I lost my leg, it would be the end of my life. It's the worst thing that could ever happen." But then you go through it, and you realize it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
People with 2, 3, 4 missing limbs. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
6-year-old with brain cancer. I mean, there's, like, so
Yeah.
many people who have it worse than you, and you develop an appreciation for life that I definitely would not have had without going through that experience.
Yeah. and I wanna hear your take on it, but, when I listen to your story and so many others, I think one of the biggest takeaways for people trying to figure out, like, "What do I do? How do I mentally deal with this struggle that I'm in right now?" is just having some accountability, because so many people wanna just sit there in their pity hole and blame all these other things around them instead of saying, like, "Okay, here's the part I'm playing in whatever it is, your depression or whatever you're going through, right? Your job loss, like what part did I play in this? And maybe you didn't necessarily play a part, but what part can I play, right? In getting out of this situation as well. Just having that accountability is huge. And, also when you're talking about 6-year-olds with brain cancer and that sort of thing, it makes me think, the suffering that we go through is hopefully so that somebody else doesn't have to suffer as much, right? Everybody has different sufferings, but hopefully it's to lessen the suffering of those behind us.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've had people like I don't really view myself as crippled or disabled. I mean, it's kind of funny, like I've almost come to view it as just a challenge,
Yeah.
a new challenge. Like one of the things in skiing that was really, really frustrating for me was that whenever I would turn or make a really hard turn with my prosthetic side downhill,
Mhm.
I would catch an edge and that side would shoot off and then I would end up tomahawking down. It took me a couple years to figure out what was happening,
Mhm.
but it's because even with hard shell ski boots, you still have a little bit of dorsiflexion. You could pull your toes up and angle that
Mhm.
ski. Well, I don't have that on my right side,
Mhm.
right? So if I'm really cranking to turn hard and pulling my toes up, this ski's still staying straight. So they're
Mhm.
going in different directions. Once I was able to figure out what was happening, I had to then, all right, how am I going to adapt? How am I going to get over this? How am I going to mitigate this problem? And that took probably a couple years. And now I basically taught myself to ski differently with my right leg. And I do something called a butter, which is where you push this leg and you're basically riding on your tail,
Okay.
which kind of mimics the movement of being able to pull your toes up. I'm
Mhm.
just minimizing the amount of tail. That kind of stuff. I mean, it's just it's frustrating, but it's just another challenge. And if I
It's
can
just
overcome
yeah.
it,
Adaptation, right?
yeah.
And that's a lesson for everybody listening as well. Just adapt to the circumstances that you're facing right now.
Mhm.
There is a way to adapt to everything that we're facing and dealing with in our lives. I mean, what would you say to people though that are struggling? What would you say as far as tips, tools, how they can look at things differently?
I mean, every situation's so different, but
Mhm.
in my particular situation with limb loss, I really think that recreating yourself and making it a part of your identity that you're proud of rather than being embarrassed of. Like I knew a girl who had a who her building caught fire and she had to jump out of like a 3-story window and ended up losing her leg. She's so funny. She would make all these legs with like donuts and Supergirl and ice cream cones, and she had all these super elaborate legs and just was always showing off, and it's cool. Like,
Yeah.
everyone wants to talk to her. It's
Yeah.
like it's way cooler than just having her old leg, and
Yeah.
that's what I meant about the type of person who really excels after it is someone who's like, "Okay, well, this is a new me. Let's use
Mhm.
this. Let's."
Mhm.
And like I said, I never wear shorts anymore, and, I do that for functionality so I can take my leg off when I need to, but it's also, like, not embarrassed, stoked. People like talking to me about it.
Yeah.
Gives me a chance to talk to them.
I mean, I think it goes for anything in life though. Just embrace where you're at and it's a new season and it's hard and find a way to make it work for you and not against
Yeah.
you. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. Is there anything that you love to say to people that just some sort of motivational line that you have?
I don't have a motivational line, but
If not, that's okay.
I would say just never give up,
Yeah,
really. Just
yeah,
never.
yeah, yeah.
Just keep
You
going because like I said, I mean, I met my wife a year later
yeah.
and
Were you in a good headspace when you met her, or were you still kind of working through a lot of things?
I was much, much better.
Mhm.
I would say it probably took, let's see, it was 2015. It probably took 2 or 3 years to really
Okay,
kinda settle in
okay.
to, having a new
New
body
body.
and adapting to it, and part of that was also just getting set up with new legs so I could do stuff.
Mhm.
And like you said, it insurance doesn't cover it, so you have to get clever with working the system and finding foundations that can cover it, and you'll get a prosthetist who will make one daily leg for you, but then since they've already created the mold, they can create a second socket for cheap. So
Mhm.
you'll just got to get clever. You got to
Yeah,
figure out the system and make it work, and they're not cheap. I
yeah.
mean, a ski leg costs between 14 and 20 grand.
Wow.
Good. That's one leg, you know?
Yeah, wow.
So but it's just another piece of gear.
Yeah,
I gotta have my skis, gotta have my surfboard, gotta have my leg.
yeah. Well, thank you for being here, and
Yeah, thank you
I'm
for
so
being
glad.
interested.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you're still here with us.
No, thank you.
Eric, can people connect with you if they want to, or me?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Facebook, Erik
Okay.
Johnson. I really need to update my Insta. I don't do Insta. I'm old
Yeah.
school. I think it's so lame.
I don't like it, but I do it because I have to.
Yeah, yeah. But I actually have a YouTube channel. For our wedding, I is when I started making videos. I planned on just making just this simple GoPro, like, mashup
Okay.
of my wife and, my adventures, and it ended up turning into this just, like, super elaborate process. It was 14 minutes long, and I was working with 2 different editors, and ever since then, I started making my own family videos and chronicling our adventures.
Uh-huh.
Probably made
Good.
close to 100 at this point, and a lot of guys around the country. One guy got in an airplane crash and had basically the same injuries as mine. Another guy, a hunter from Texas, shot his foot off
Oh,
accidentally while he was driving. His gun went off in his car,
mhm.
um, while I was driving, and a lot of them found me through the YouTube channel because 'cause they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, the Challenge Athlete Foundation, the guy's running, but this guy's busting double backs with the prosthetic leg, so I gotta I gotta
Oh,
reach out to this guy."
oh my gosh, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
Eric.L.P.Johnson.
yeah.
On my YouTube channel.
Perfect. Well, if you want, I can link it too in the
Yeah,
show
sure,
notes.
I'll send you the link. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be cool.
yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
too.
Bye-bye.